Brenda Miller. I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Basking Ridge, New Jersey, and I go live every Wednesday at 5 o'clock Eastern Time to talk about things that are going on, things, projects that I'm working on, Stampin' Up! Specials, and things like that. And let's see, today we're going to be making a card that I'm featuring in my Stamp-A-Stack classes that are in person here in Basking Ridge, New Jersey, and they're going to be held next week. I do classes on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Let's see, Thursday at 10 a.m., Friday at 7 a.m., and 7, sorry, that was bad, 10 a.m. and 7 p.m., and then Saturday at just 10 a.m. Boy, that would be really hard if I was doing those other times. Anyway, so this card also, actually every card from that class and every card I'm doing this month in my Zoom class too, features a suite. At least one suite is featured for every card. And that's because we're having this huge suite sale at Stampin' Up! For the month of June. If you buy anything from a suite, any active suite, then you get a second item from any active suite for 50% off. Now, just like any sale would be, you pay for the higher price item, and then the lowest priced item is 50% off. And these are just the suite items, right? So there are strategies on how to best get the best savings from this particular sale. And if you're interested in any of that, I'll put the link in my bio, but I have an explanation on my blog. That'll make it a little bit easier. But that being said, let's go ahead and make a card. So we're going to be using the lovely garden suite and featuring some other items as well. So let's pop over to my desktop, move my keyboard. Had a little technical difficulties. Amazing, I was all set, and then something doesn't work. So we are going to be featuring the Thankful Garden Suite. Now, a suite usually contains one, potentially two bundles, and when we say bundles, we mean a stamp set and a coordinating set of dies, or it could be a punch. Okay, today we're going to use this one. This has the coordinating dies. And it also, in the suite, there are some beautiful designer series papers. And let's see, they're right there, but I can't really reach them. But you can look it all up online. And usually there's a embossing folder and or some embellishments. So a suite usually has 4, maybe 5 items in it for you to look at. And you can order a suite as a whole, depending upon availability, or you can buy pieces of it. And, if you want everything, you buy the whole suite. If you want just pieces of it, you just choose those. So anyway, that's how that works. So this is the Thankful Garden bundle within the lovely garden suite. All right. And so we're going to make a card. I actually did an entire class about this using this bundle, and the participants made 5 cards. I do one of those classes every month. This month, we're going to be doing Cutest Onesie next week or 2 weeks. And then for next month, you have to sign up the month prior. You can, next month in July, it's going to be the Mixed Media Labels suite. So that's a fun one. You could take a look at that. I'm sorry, Mixed Media Labels. Mixed Labels actually is what the bundle is called, and that's what's going to be for the class. It is part of the Mixed Media Floral Suite. Oh my gosh, so many names to try to remember. I'm going to just stop here. So I've got a bubble bath card, and you saw me just fold it in half and give it a nice crease with my scoring gun. I'm going to go ahead and put some white cardstock on the inside, as I like to do. This is light enough that I probably don't need to, but I happen to have some, so might as well go ahead and do that. Just gives a nice finish to the card, but sometimes when it, some of the pale pinks and yellows and blues and greens that are just, just really don't need it, depending upon availability. Okay, so next I'm going to show you something really fun, and this is the striped, it's the stripes. uh, let's see, I'm going to look it up because I want to make sure. Painted stripes, giant stamp. It's a background stamp, okay? So you see how big it is, and it is, I put it onto our largest acrylic block, which is letter, I gotta put my glasses on, F, I believe. And I want to show you how to use this, and it makes a fabulous background. So glasses on, and I'm going to grab an ink pad. So I'm going to be putting, the paper that I'm going to be using is Berry Burst, and I'm going to use a Berry Burst ink on this. So I like to work with these stamps completely upside down, and you can see, even as I'm inking it up, that there are spots that look like there isn't any ink. Well, I'll tell you, there is ink there. This is a nice juicy pad. So you see how it's just not quite, it doesn't look like it's completely filled in. And that's the design of this. It's a distinctive stamp, right? That's a Stampin' Up trademark. And what I'm going to do is take my paper and I'm going to lay it on top of the stamp very carefully, get it to where I want it. I'm going to lay it down, and then I'm going to take a piece of scrap paper. Now, if you have a paper mat under you, I have my glass mat, but if I had a piece of paper over it, I would just fold it over it, and that's how I go ahead and ink up my stamp. And look at that. Look at that pretty background. So it's not so vibrant. You'll see it as it dries. It won't be quite so dark as the ink dries, but you can see it's just a cool background, and that's going to go onto the front of my card. What I liked about this card, when I saw a design very, kind of similar to it, very similar to it actually. It's not the same, but it's similar. What I liked is that they used the light card base, the light color for the card base, and the dark color for the background. Usually I do it the other way around. So it really pops just as much. And so that is what our card front looks like. So now we're going to take another piece of Bubble Bath cardstock. My camera is a little high today, so I have to make sure that you can see what I'm doing. And I'm going to take the stamp from the Thankful Garden stamp set. And you can see I have some permanent ink on my block there, but I'll show you on the stamp bed. It's this stamp right here. So you can see there are two flowers. We're going to take this one, and I'm going to ink it up. And again, because, oh, sorry, I didn't do that right. Here, now you can see, because it's such a large stamp, I ink it up upside down. Now I could have also put the paper on top of it, but for this, I don't mind doing it. Now look how vibrant that is, right? Doesn't that look great? And it's a single color, so we don't have to color it in or anything. So that makes a very pretty flower. However, I don't want to use the entire flower. So what I'm going to do is first die cut it out. So if this is the coordinating die for this, I'm going to lay it down, and you can see that it lines up perfectly. Oopsie daisy. And I've got a little bit of washi tape on there, still sticky enough to just hold it down. And you take it over to my die cutting machine, which is off camera. And through the magic of television, here it is. Okay, so that's what it looks like when it's cut out. But I really only want the flowers for this, because just for this particular card design. So I'm going to take my paper snips. Now, I don't think I've ever talked about our paper snips, but they're pretty cool because they're very, very, very sharp. Just so that you know, you don't want to be giving these to children. I actually had the leader of an older adults program, oh, I can't find it, who managed to cut herself. She was the one in charge, and she's the one who got cut and had to go get stitches. So I do encourage you to be careful with these. They also come with a little cover, and I know I've got it on my desk somewhere, but it's not here. But it's handy, and then you can keep them stored that way so you don't cut yourself. But just wanted to mention that. A little shout out to our paper snips. And I'm just going to cut the flower. I'm going to cut the leaves off is really what I'm doing, but I'm cutting around the flowers. Remember, when you're fussy cutting, you only want to turn the paper. You don't want to turn the scissors necessarily. So you see how I hold the scissors in place and I curve around and leaving a little bit of that edge. And I don't want to point there, so there we go. So now we have just the flowers. Okay, so the flower needs some leaves, and so through another die, this die here, and these are some leaves. This set actually has two different sets of leaves that you can cut out. So we've got this one, and then we've also got this one. So I could have done that as well. So these are the small leaves, these are the big leaves. I'm going to go with the big leaves for this flower, and because they are the ones you can see that we cut off, right? I could not cut them out. You know, they're not perfect, right, is what I'm trying to say, but they are the same style. So I'm going to stick with that. And I went ahead and I die cut them out of old olive. And so that's what I'm going to use. And we'll cut up those apart too. Now I need a focal point for my card. And to create that, I'm going to use another bundle from another suite. So this is the Textured Notes bundle. And it comes with this stamp set, which also has some nice leaves in it, but it has the most awesome rectangle dies that we make. These are my absolute favorites. They are all stitched or decorated. They're all different. And you'll see this is the one that I used. And so, because it's the right size for what I wanted. And this is part of the Woven Textures suite. I believe that's the name of the suite. And like I said, I try to be on top of it, but anyway, but the point is you can go ahead and order that bundle or even just the dies as part of that buy one, get one 50% off. So just so you know, you could do that with this. And so we have that die cut out. I already did that. All right, we're going to go ahead and put this onto our card, and I'm going to put it over on the left-hand side. I'm just going to use my Stampin' Seal to do that. So we've got that here. And then we're going to take our flowers, and I think I'm going to put them on like this. And I'm going to cut my leaves so that I have two different sets. Okay, and we're going to be tucking them behind anyway. So I'm going to use my dimensionals. Use two dimensionals on here. You could use more or less as you desire. But I've got to get that popped up a little for a little texture. And then I'm going to use the same thing and put it on the back of my leaves. Now we could have also attached the leaves, to be honest, to the flower. We could have glued them on. I think that's how I did it in my first sample that I made, which I haven't shared, but you could do that, or you could do it this way, add them afterwards. And I just put some dimensionals on the back. And you can have them stick out. You could separate these two leaves as well if you wanted them to stick out more, or in a different way. And so we'll put this one on as well. And I'm just I'm using the edges because I have so many sheets of dimensionals that are partially used. I try to use them all up. And so I'm going to get that under here. And the reason I'm doing this is to leave space for a sentiment. So the sentiment is going to get stamped again on some bubble bath paper. And I'm going to use my Berry Burst ink. And I'm going to use one of the sentiments from the Thankful Garden stamp set. Thankful for You, Friend. This is, I think, my favorite stamp out of that set. I've used it a lot. I just like what it says. And we're going to fussy cut this out as well. So here we go. We're going to just turn the paper. And it doesn't have to take very long. We did this in the class, and it was fine. Some people love to fussy cut. I am not one of those people necessarily, but I do like the way that it looks. So I like to, once in a while, go ahead and do that. And I really do like the way it looks with this particular stamp. The way that, the thankful is larger. And I just go around. I always get to this point and I should use a smaller piece of paper. I think for class I'll cut this to be a smaller piece so it's easier to manage. I just grabbed some scraps that are in my drawer. I keep drawers and drawers full of scraps, meaning even though it's a pretty big scrap, it's a piece of paper that was cut down to be used elsewhere. And this one's left over. So that's where we have that. Okay, so we've got that cut out, and then we're going to go ahead and put it onto the card, and we're going to use dimensionals for this as well. So this is, it's still only one full layer popped up, which is what I like to keep it at. And I'm just going to try to connect everything together. Okay, so I have a little bit of overlap with the flower here. Usually I like to do a little bit more than that, but I think still it looks quite nice. I love the way that the background, see how it's faded out a little bit, and this really definitely still pops. And of course we have to finish off with something special. So we've got our iridescent basic pearls, and we got our, take your big tool, and we're going to go ahead and put little pearls in the center of the flower, and then because we like to have an odd number when we can, we're going to put another one right over here. And that's our card for today. So you'll have to let me know what you think. And I just, really the purpose of today's, live is to talk about the sweet sale. And if you have any questions about that, be sure to go and look at my blog. And again, I'll put the link in the description of this video. So thank you for joining me today, and I'll see you the next time. Bye-bye.